Welcome back to Nerf Rewired. I am Captain Xavier, and as you can see, I am rewiring the Perseus that I recently acquired. Now, the Perseus is just a Hyperfire wiring. Link to the wiring diagram that I have will be down in the description. But we've got a pusher motor and pair of rev motors. Rev switch obviously will power the pusher motors and give power to the trigger switch, which will then power the conveyor belt motor. And the conveyor belt motor will also then have motor braking. So, fairly straightforward wiring, nothing complicated. Really, the trickiest part here is going to be mounting the switches. I'm going to be using a pair of smaller switches. Actually, there's enough room in here. I might go ahead and go to the full Omron for a number of reasons. Obviously, this thing originally came with a rechargeable battery, but I have a LiPo battery housing that just locks in that I got on Thingiverse. The designer was Adrian. Link to that will also be down in the description. And I have a replacement trigger. As I agree with everyone else, that trigger is, while kind of neat looking, somewhat uncomfortable. So I have just a fairly straightforward, simpler trigger that I will be replacing that with. This was designed by Captain Redbeard Nerf on Thingiverse. Link will also be down in the description. Those will be two nice upgrades, and given how much room there is back here, I might go ahead and throw in the full Omron switch for the rev. Maybe not for that. We'll see how things fit when I go to try to line everything up. So, step one, scrap all of the original wiring. I don't want any of the locks. I don't want any of these little boards that are on here. I don't want the thermistor. I don't want any of it. He may have finally arrived. He has. Fantastic. Someone was actually supposed to join me in this video. We're both going to be modding Perseus, but he's about 2 hours late. And but he's finally arrived, so we shall continue in a minute. Right, I removed the thing. This was the whole wiring. It's actually fairly minimalist, really. Kind of impressed. It only had, as far as I can tell, the one lock, which was both the jam door lock and the ammo door lock. Appears to both use the same lock switch, which is, again, efficient, and I like that. Now I need to figure out how I want to go about rewiring this, where I want to run my wires. I will probably take out this whole spring-loaded battery ejection thing, because I don't need it. And then I won't have to drill holes, because there will be a nice big hole. And for me to run my wires through, that'll be handy. I generally get rid of the mechanical trigger lock in favor of a electric trigger lock. So the trigger switch won't do anything unless you're pulling the rev switch. You can pull the trigger switch, it just won't go, it won't do anything. And that should make it a little easier to fit. Take a look at his, because he doesn't live here and he will eventually let's autofocus, otherwise it'll okay. So we've got these boards here and this board here that we're going to take off, and all you have to do is heat up the points where the posts are sticking through and then pop them off. And then these, I don't know what those are or why they're there, but it's easier to cut them than to try to unsolder them.
Definitely not important.
Definitely not vital. wiring's done. I'm going to go over the wiring real quick. We've got, for the negative line, negative comes from the battery housing, goes around to the normally closed on our trigger switch, which provides motor braking. Negative is then coming off of there, going to the negative on our conveyor belt motor, and then going up to the flywheel motors, and that's the entire negative circuit. The positive comes up to our rev switch, so that when you pull the trigger, it revs. We then, from the COM, that both goes to the flywheels and comes up to our trigger switch, and that is where the power for the trigger switch comes in. That's why nothing happens if you just pull this one. You have to pull this one first and then pull this one. And then the COM on our trigger switch, the reason it's yellow is it's either negative or positive, depending on the position of the switch, because of motor braking. And that's all there is to it. It's actually a fairly simple circuit. Or at least it's simple to me now that I've done it so many times. It might not be so simple if it's your first time seeing it. But if you look up my Hyperfire wiring video, I have it all laid out a little bit better, so it's not all in a mess. So I'm going to hand this back to... Who are you again?
Dustin.
Dustin! I'm going to hand it to Dustin, and he is going to button it up, and then I'm going to do mine. Alright, here we have it. Rewired. And I'm going to fire it on 2S for the lulz. And see what kind of numbers we get. And then we're going to crank it up to 3S and see if it gets silly. So we're coming in at, right, low 90s. Low just over 100s. On 2S, and a ridiculous rate of fire. And
For a ridiculous, sir.
now we're going to put in, now for the 3S. Interesting. Hold on. I have something got eaten.
That much different.
It's not hitting any harder. Where's my battery's working? It sounds angrier, but I'm still only getting in the low 100s. Huh. Fascinating. Fascinating. More research may be needed. Alright. Now for the firing for range, I've got the new target that I was set up, the 4, and I'm going to see if I can hit anything. Turned itself off, so it's not going to reset itself. How very dare you! Alright, now 3S. We'll see if I can hit anything with the wicked, wicked hop-up it's probably going to have. Oh no! That like an agitator, though. Okay, that's nice and accurate. That's neat.
Oh, it clicks. It clicks.
The rev trigger is real nice. The trigger could use a return spring, in my opinion, be a little bit snappier on the return. But the rev is just butter. I love it. So, come say hello to the children. This is, who are you again?
Dustin.
Dustin! And we've done the things.
Yeah.
And they're lovely. He hasn't fired his yet.
It doesn't shoot ballistic balls, though.
We have failed. Why? What is it all about? What does it all mean? This is the sort. This This is another fellow from our local group who likes shooting the weird ammunition.
Yeah, I did the video with Brett where I made
Yeah.
a Tano reactomizer.
Yeah. We have fun around here. We don't take ourselves too seriously. We run things like bananas and reactor ball blasters and what other weird stuff have you run?
Oh, jeez. Boomco and
Vortex,
and
old Vortex,
arrows,
new Vortex, arrows, the old arrows, the new arrows.
Those arrows are... They're spooky when they're flying through the air.
Yeah.
They take like 2 years to load. You have to like...
Here they come.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, this has been fun. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Run for it! They're after us!
Wet out here.
It's damp! Damp. It's damp in here too because my roof leaks. I'd fix it, but I can't because it's damp.